This video is on how to open an Xbox 360 older generation fat model box. This is an Elite. Okay. This is for cleaning and maintenance of the fat model generation. A very necessary part of preventing red lights. Okay. The red light issues, regardless of what you've heard on YouTube and all these other channels, was a direct result of Microsoft putting a warranty seal on the box. 98% of every single red light issue for these model boxes was caused by the warranty seal in here and the fact that they put in the manual for you to never open and clean the box. 98% of all of the red light issues was a direct result of overheating as a direct result of dust buildup on the face of the heat sinks. And I will be going into extreme detail in later videos as I upload them as to show you the proof of that statement. So regardless of what you heard about chip drift and tin whiskers and all that other stuff, just ignore it. It's all garbage, and I'll prove it to you 100% as I go on my channel. Okay? Now, I know a lot of these videos tell you to reach in here and pull it up. You do that, you're going to break this door off. Okay? For this job, you're going to. It's highly recommended that you purchase an Xbox 360 opening tool, and I'll show you how to use it here. They come with a. Most of them come with a Allen style T10 torch driver, but I'm going to show you two methods. One using this tool, and the other using just standard tools. A T10 torch driver you can purchase at Lowe's, Home Depot, or you can get at any automotive store, and a jeweler's screwdriver, and a soft bristled or medium to soft bristled dry paintbrush. Okay, and it doesn't have to be this big and wide. You can use any size you like, and we'll explain how to use that in just a moment. But to get the face off, the recommended way is to simply take your fingers, put your fingernails beneath the face plate on the side, and lift up. Once you get that, just lift up the rest of the way. It's just clips, they'll pop right off and will not break anything. Okay? Now, since they pretty much discontinued this model, we're not going to worry about any warranty seals, because if you break the warranty seal, it's now out of warranty. I doubt seriously any of you have any warranties on any of these left whatsoever. But if you do, just remember, if you break this seal, you do void your warranty. Alright, now with an Xbox 360 opening tool, what you'll do is, you see this hole here and here. These are for the tabs to release the forward section of this. What you want to do is you want to lift up, put the long part in there, get up behind that tab, and then just give it a little tweak, and that will release the first tab. Okay, and then you use the pointy section to release the other tabs. Now we'll go through that in just a moment. If you're using a jeweler screwdriver, you'll basically do the same thing. Go in, get behind the tab, and release it. If the other side releases, fine. If not, do the same thing on the other side. Now, you will note that there are two filled-in holes here and here. For the center tab, you want to go dead center between the filled-in holes, all the way down. And as you've got a little bit of lifting pressure here, you're going to push in, oops, right at the bottom row. Okay, and do the same thing on the other side. Now this is very gentle pressure. It should not, you shouldn't have to cram it in there. Okay, you're going to do the same thing on this side. You'll note that the holes are a little bit different configuration. There's two filled-in holes in an angle here, and two filled-in holes in an angle here. What you're going to do is you're going to go dead center between them, and just above the filled-in hole, you can pick either one of the holes you like. You're going to put your jeweler screwdriver or the pointed tip of this opening tool in that hole, and you're just going to push in a little bit. That's it. No hard pressure. Alright. Now on the opposite side, the last tab, if it don't automatically pop off on you, the last tab is actually hidden behind this foot here. Now rather than pulling it off, because when you do it tends to not want to stick very good anymore, just take your jeweler's screwdriver or your opening tool and go just above the leg of the thing and then wiggle past the leg, because there's a little hole right behind it. You go in and release that tab. Okay. Now let's get you a nice close-up of what that looks like. See that? Okay. And then pull it out. That way your leg never gets lost or you have trouble getting it to stick back together. Okay? Now, you want to keep your stuff organized, so just set this on top of your faceplate, and then we're going to flip the box over and we're going to open the bottom vent. The bottom vent is very simple. It's the same all the way around. All you're going to do is put a little bit of lifting pressure. Looks like somebody broke the leg off right here on this particular box, but you'll find that there's two filled in holes here and here. You're going to go dead center between them, one row down, and push in to release that tab. The next row, identical. Two filled in holes, dead center between them, go in, push in. You're going to do the same thing on the other side, and the same thing right here with the two filled in holes. Now you notice that whoever this box was, he broke off several of the tabs, probably because he was impatient and just ripped it off, or just didn't know how to open it. Alright, I'm going to set that off to the side. Now at this point you would break the seal here, and since it's already broken, we don't need to do that, but you need to, you'll have 4 tabs. There's going to be one here at the top, a large one here just at the bottom of the tray, one here just below where the seal is, and then the final bottom one. Alright, now you can take your jeweler's screwdriver and put that down, put 2 fingers here and your thumb on the other side. What you're doing is you're putting separating pressure, on the, and I apologize for this autofocus. You're going to put separating pressure on here, and you're going to take your jeweler's, go up underneath that tab, and just lift up while applying separating pressure with your hand. You'll do the next tab same way, keep applying separating pressure, and the next tab. Now if you're using this tool, simply use the corner. Sometimes it's best if you just kind of lean it up against yourself. Put it up underneath the tab, lift up a little bit while you're applying separating pressure, and do the same thing for the last 2 tabs. Once you get it separated like this, you're going to flip the box over without letting them clips get back on. Okay, now I want to show you something on this before I go into the tabs. Right, here is the holes for the tabs. Right, now look right along here. See how this is starting to separate here? That's from where this box got a lot of really bad heat. I'm going to assume that he probably did a towel trick on it,
because there's an extreme amount of heat that's generated when they do that. Very bad box, never do it. Okay, so you got 2 opening holes here, here, and then you got 5 opening holes here, 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 and there. Alright, to release these tabs, all you're going to do is take your jeweler's and you're going to put it right in through this hole. You're going to take your fingers for the separating pressure. Okay. And then just push in, and you'll hear a click. Now, it's kind of hard to do this.
I'm going to show you how to do it here. Put your jeweler's screwdriver in here, and it should definitely be smaller in the hole, otherwise you're going to make your box look like garbage. All you're going to do is put your separating pressure. You hear that click? Click, 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 and you see how that separated? Okay. Now, you would do the exact same thing on the other side. But with the opening tool, it makes life so much simpler. You simply line up all 5 holes, press down, separate. Line up the other 2 holes, press down, separate. And then the bottom plate comes off. Okay. Now, take the time, take your faceplate and upper and lower vents, put them on this so that it's nice and organized. Set that off to the side so you don't accidentally step on it. Okay. Now, you will note that there are 6 case screws. Case screws are here, 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 and here. If you should accidentally pull a screw out that is short, put it back in because you took out the wrong one. Now I'll kind of show you that right now. If you accidentally, let's say you accidentally take out one of these. If you wind up with a short screw like this, put it back in immediately. Okay, because you don't want to release the motherboard from the casing. The screws you are going to be pulling out will look exactly like this. A nice long screw that goes all the way through the box into the plastic casing. There will be 6 of them. Okay. And again, this is a T10 Torx driver. Okay, once you get all of them case screws out, you're going to lift the box up and you're going to remove the eject button. Okay, you can do that with your jeweler screwdriver, or you can use the side or the corner of your 360 removal tool. I actually like the removal tool, but just in case you don't have the tool, we're going to use the jeweler screwdriver. You're going to reach right up underneath the part of the button that sticks, and let me aim this a little better. We're going to lift up on it, and we're going to go right up underneath this tab here, and we're going to slowly and gently lift that tab off. Alright? Now, as you can see, there's a hole that goes all the way through this, and there's a tab right here. If you just rip that off, odds are good you're going to break that little guide tab. If you break it, your eject button will be floppy. It'll still be usable, so don't have a cow and don't have a heart attack. Alright, so you don't want to lose the eject button. We're going to go ahead and put that with the upper case, and now we can open or remove the upper metal housing. Alright, now I see so many boxes where people remove this metal housing or heat shielding from the inside of the box and throw it away. This has a very specific purpose. Do not remove it. I will go into great detail as to the purpose of the heat shielding later on. It's not just to prevent this part from warping and stuff, okay, but don't take that out for any reason whatsoever unless you're doing a case modification. And then I'll have some tips for you later on in other videos concerning the case modifications so that you don't accidentally damage your system by an improper case cut. Alright? Now, at this point, you're going to want to remove the disk drive. Okay? You're going to just simply, if the seal, which is usually here, that goes up over the drive, is there, simply break that seal. It's just an aluminum piece of tape. You're going to lift the drive straight up, and then you'll note that there's two cables. You got your A, you have your SATA port, and then you have your drive power. Simply reach underneath here, pinch, wiggle, and pull. Pinch, wiggle, and pull. Okay. Very gently set this off to the side. You do not want to agitate any dust that may or may not be in there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and set that on top of the upper housing. Alright, now this box the owner already cleaned out, but what is going on with these boxes is the dust will build up along the face of the heat sinks and prevent the air from cooling the chips. Alright, and it'll build up along here. This is a 1/2 inch tall. Okay, I'm going to be explaining in detail how the progression of these heat sinks in another video, which explains and proves to you exactly why I'm telling you about the purposely misled flaw to the boxes, and we'll give you great detail as to the actual flaw concerning the box. Now, you will want to remove this fan shroud. All you need to do is take your jeweler's screwdriver or the top side of your opening tool. Okay, you're going to put it into the square hole to the top side, and then you'll just lean it forward, and that will release that tab, which allows you to lift your fan shroud off. Right, from this point you can be a tightwad. Take your brush, keep a hold of the metal casing so that there's no static through you. Okay, that'll help prevent anything. But you're going to very gently break free any dust on the face of the heat sinks and around in the motherboard. Okay, once you get that broken up, go into the fans, break up anything you can find in there, brush off the dust that is in all of these vents here. Just go over them a couple of times, and then take it outside, and you can be a tightwad like I said and blow it out. Okay, or you can take an air compressor. You can blow up to 40 pounds of air pressure directly on the heat sinks and through the heat sinks in order to blast out any dust that's in between the vents and stuff. But when it comes to the motherboard, avoid physically touching anything on it, but raise the air compressor nozzle up and blow it out. Now, do not blast air through the fans and make them spin very fast, okay? Because they have permanent magnets and electromagnets which spin the permanent magnets. That means if you blast the air through here fast enough to get this to spin fast enough, this fan will actually be a generator which will produce electricity and backflow it through the board. If it gets going fast enough, it'll overbias the box and burn out your thermal regulator or cause other issues that you really don't want. So if you're using an air compressor, take your fingers and just hold the box like that and then blast the air through. That'll prevent the fans from turning. Now if you're just the type that just has to have them fans spinning really fast, simply reach over here and unplug the fan so that it will not backflow power in there, and then if you like, you can get these fans spinning really fast. Okay, not really recommended, but if you just have to, yeah. Some people, you know. And then make sure you blow through your vents in the opposite direction to get out any dust that's clogging here. Blast through the casing vents, alright, and get it nice and clean. Your box should look fairly similar to this when you're done. Okay, now once that's all cleaned out, you're going to put it back on. This fan shroud has a lip, alright, that goes over the fan itself, and don't forget to plug this back in. Okay, and it's easier to do that before you put your fan shroud on. Okay, now you're going to put your fan shroud back on by sliding it over the fan itself. Make sure your power cables are out of the way. Okay, now this fan shroud and fan for this particular box is not the right one, or has been badly damaged by heat. Give me 1 second here, I need to adjust this. Fan shroud looks like that, it's on wrong. Okay, there's too big of a gap here. This is the wrong fan shroud. I'm gonna have if I can get this box up and running, because it looks to me like he actually was doing some weird stuff here on the box. And if you look very closely at this box, you can see that this is no longer straight. It's actually bent like this. Okay, so this box has some issues that prevents this fan shroud from working, which is probably why he got red lights. Okay, so let's just go through putting the box back together. I'm going to slide this over the fan. If you have a gap like that, there's a big issue. Alright, this fan shroud should come right up to the heatsink, and so should this. Alright, they'll wind up being flush right here and pretty much flush right here. Okay. Once that's done, you'll reinsert your drive. Now, the dust that's on the drive, just very gently wipe it off, or very, very carefully and slowly wipe off anything on the outside. You do not want to blow air into this disk drive, and I'll explain to you why right now. Let me just set this off to the side a little bit. The lasers inside the Xbox 360 have two very powerful, have two very powerful neodymium magnets. There we go. Alright, now these magnets see how far away that pushes? Alright, if this was the piece of iron, it would actually pull from way over here. So if you disturb the dust, from inside this drive, these magnets are powerful enough to pull that any iron that's in that dust from as far away as this back leg, and it'll drag it straight to the laser, go inside, and then there is just no way you're going to pull that off of these magnets. For one, they're deep within the laser, and two, you just can't pick, even if you did take your laser apart, and you just cannot pick all that stuff off. It will gum up your laser and you'll have to replace it every single time. Alright, now, is it guaranteed that if you blow air in there it's going to stop working? No. Just a high probability in the 80 to 90% range. So you do not want to blow air into there. I'll talk to you about cleaning of these drives in a later video, but for now what you would do is simply plug back in both cables. Make sure they're in the same direction that they come out. Alright, set your drive back in. Make sure it's all the way in and all the way settled. Now, you'll take this, break free all the dust that's on here, outside, blow it out, use your air compressor, blow through the holes around in here, get it all cleaned up, and then you'll just take it and set it back on the box. Okay, flip that box over. Now note, there are little guides that go in behind this little metal piece here and here. So if when you put it together, this is over the top of it like that, it's not going to go back together right. This has to be underneath that little metal lip there, and this one has to be underneath the little metal lip there. Okay, so we got that on. We're going to reinstall the long case drive screws, and we have an issue. This is not going to go back in that hole. Why? Because the fan shroud is out of place because of the bent casing on this particular box, so I'm going to have to make sure that gets lined up. Okay, and then put this top back on and then flip it back over. Okay, now your screws should fit in very easily. If anything is hard for you to take apart or put back together, you're doing it wrong. Okay, these are designed to go together in a very specific manner so that it is very easy to take it apart and put it together. If you're having an issue, you're doing it wrong, watch the video a couple of times, pay real close attention. So now we're going to tighten down the case screws that holds the top on. You're going to screw it down until it stops. Okay, once it stops, stop. This is screwing into plastic, so if you over tighten it, you're going to strip it out or break it off. Okay, you're just going to screw it down until it's just a little tight, that's all. Just enough to suck the upper case all the way down. Okay, now some of you, and especially some of my customers, when they go to clean their box, they say, well, I'll just leave them screws out and it'll make it easier next time. Don't be lazy. There's a very specific reason for these case screws. They're there to suck the upper casing and heat shielding down to the top side of the CPU heatsink in order to force the air to go all the way through it instead of bypassing it and going over and through only the back half of that heatsink. So it's very important that you do in fact put all the screws back in, if at all possible, so that that heat shielding is actually physically in contact with the CPU heatsink. Alright, so now we got that on. Now look here, this T8 screw here is loose, this one's 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 loose. All of these are loose. Right, so he's obviously been in this box. And with the bent frame, I'm thinking that this box is probably not going to be repairable because he has attempted YouTube repairs on it several times and may actually be wasting his money. But he insisted that he did not overheat the box or anything like that, so I have to assume that he didn't. If you send me a box, if you are embarrassed about overheating the box using its own power, you're only ripping yourself off, okay? Because anytime you towel trick the box, you cause 60 times more damage to the solder beneath the chips, run an extreme high risk of blowing out capacitors or burning the chip itself up. Alright, now just because you've heated it up several times and it worked, and you think you're going to mail it to me and say, no, I never did it, and have it work for a couple of years, I'm sorry, it's just not going to work that way. And I'm going to go into great detail as to why concerning the solder beneath the chips. Now, I've had people mail it to me, tell me they never overheated it and stuff, and then I run it through, determine that it is in fact a cracked solder joint, I do a reflow on the box, I turn it on, and it works for a second, craps out on it, excuse the language, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, he said he didn't towel trick the box. Well, I kind of knew he did because of them redoing that, or you can tell by the amount of bubbling from the old thermal paste. But I'll get into that kind of stuff in a later video. Let's finish putting this box back together, okay? Anyway, let me just say, if you're embarrassed about towel tricking your box or overheating it in any way using Q-tips in the fans, which I highly suspect this box was done that way, then start over. Sell off the usable parts, destroy the motherboard, don't let some other kid get ripped off by your box just because you're too greedy to not get the couple of dollars that you would get from the motherboard by lying to somebody, okay, concerning whether or not it's working. Right? Take you got the upper housing on, all the screws are intact and tight, and you're going to take the button here. This top side will go into this section right here. It looks like a set of equals bars. You're going to set that in there, and then you're going to push down right here. That button will be in place. If everything's right, you'll hear this. That's the way it should sound. Click, click, click. Right? That means that button's in place and working properly. Now you take the other housing. Get a little bit better view here. Now just take the front side, line up your forward tabs, push down. That'll lock all 4 tabs in place. Now you got the back side of the box. You're just going to take and squeeze. Until they all click back into place, and it's nice and straight. From this point, you'll put your upper and lower vents on. The lower vent is very important. You see this little notch here? There's not one on this side. This little notch has to be facing the front side of your box. If you don't put it on the front side, toward the front side of your box, you'll most likely wind up breaking these tabs the next time you try to pull it off, because it's going to be extremely hard. So make sure this tab is facing the front side of the box, and you just line up the holes, put it there, and that will go right into place, just that simple. Okay? If it don't go together easy, you're doing something wrong. The top side, you cannot get it on backwards because it has this upper section here and is set here. Okay, so you're going to line up your tabs. Okay, you see how this didn't quite go in? If you wind up with it being like that, push it in. Make sure it goes all the way down. This should be nice and even all the way around, and this should be flush with the top side of the case. Right? Then all we got left to do is put the faceplate back on, which is simple enough. You simply put it on like that, and you're all done with your clean out. Now I need to get the phone. Don't forget, you want to clean out at least once every 30 days to 90 days on these systems, depending on the amount of dust level you're seeing in your box. Okay? Stay safe, happy gaming, everyone.